katika kizazi cha millennial, lakini unapata wengine nafikiri wanakuwa kidogo na mkanganyiko. Tupate taswira ya sehemu nyingine ya jiji la Nairobi ilivyo, barabara ya Haile Selassie ambapo Kelly Boss amekita kambi pale. Tuchore taswira ilivyo kwa sasa. Kwako Kelly.
Asante sana. I'll go ahead and paint a picture of what I have experienced in town. But before that, just to establish where I am, I'm on Harambe Avenue, somewhere in between Treasury and Jogo House, and heavy police presence is in town, especially all access to town. Any other road that is main that allows access in town is really heavy on police and a barricade right there. So that's just the picture. In fact, let me just explain and paint a picture how we have been able to get to Harambe Avenue. Is we came all the way from Mayaki Way, talking to the buses that have been stopped access to town. And then we had to go inside Westlands and then head towards, as if you're going to Parklands, come through Ngara and then use University Way. All this time negotiating with the police and, just trying to explain to them that we are reporters and we are just trying to, do our job. And kindly enough from them, they have not been bad to us. They have allowed us access, which to other people, maybe say businesses, if you have a personal car, is not allowed. So, yeah, for us, they've allowed us, but this is what it is. Almost, to be bold, a ghost town, where no business is going on. Maybe the business that is going on maybe is, heavy police. One thing that has, come to my mind, and I was speaking to my colleague right here, he's called Otieno, who is doing the camera work right now, is that even though there is no Gen Z allowed in town to do the protests, usually if you think about it, even the protests that were led by the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is that he used to force the government, at least he used to stop to business, at least in town, so that the government can react, So even though the Gen Z are not in town, anyway, business has been stopped. If you look around, there's no business that is open, and nobody is really, around to even, do any town business. So the mission, if it was to stop businesses have been stopped, typically. With or without protests. And in this case, of course, it's because since morning we've been reporting, since 8 a.m., we've been reporting on heavy police presence nearly in all accesses towards going to town or any other, government offices or locations. And because of that, if you stop people from accessing town, then there's no business that will be opened. Yeah, this is one. It looks like that. I think this is just the normal locks. But if he panned towards this one, there is another one that has more of something that is, I think meant for protests, or is not typically what that shop would have had. But yeah, businesses are closed. My point is, if protests were meant to stop businesses like the protests that were led by opposition some time back, there's no protest today in town, but the mission, I think, is accomplished. I think someone needs to listen to another for now, because even though Gen Z are not in town, still we lose a lot of money. I think the government loses a lot of money if there is no, business in town. One thing that stands out also is the guys who are supposed to access town were people who are using town as transit. They don't really need to, access Nairobi like that. They just wanted to go through Nairobi on transit and stuff like those. And those are the guys that we talked to in Wayaki Way, somewhere in Kangemi police station. And many buses, around 50 plus buses, are stuck there with children, business people who are employed by other people who are trying to get back to their business. I talked to a guy who was trying to go back to Machakos to his employee. So that's just the nature of impact of police stopping people from, going about their businesses today. The point is to stop protests from happening in town. But again, it has stopped business. Ironic. Yeah. So that is just, you know, even as Otieno shows us the pictures in town, that's just the nature of what is happening right now, especially in town. And just to remind you, of course, for us to access town, especially Harambee Avenue, is that we had to go through, because the Westlands roundabout that accesses Wayake direct to town is closed. And there's a lot of anti-riot police right there. At Wayake, you know, these are just security guys in town going about their business. So because that is blocked, we had to go through Parklands, Ngara, Nairobi University Way, and then down towards, you know, Harambee Avenue. And that's how we got access to Moi Avenue, and then down to, yeah.
Naam, asante Kelly kwa kutuchorea taswira ya mambo yalivyo jijini Nairobi katika barabara hiyo, ambapo ameeleza Kelly kwamba mambo bado ni kama alivyoeleza Gloria Milimu. Barabara kuingia jijini Nairobi zimefungwa na biashara zote karibia kwenye barabara ambazo tumeona kwa sasa zimefungwa. Hakuna watu jijini isipokuwa wale maafisa wa ulinzi wa kampuni za ulinzi, ambapo wanashika doria kwenye biashara na maduka ambayo wameajiriwa kulinda. Na mbali na hayo, wengine waliopo jijini tu ni wanahabari na maafisa wa usalama ambao wapo jijini kwa sasa. Tukirejea kwenye mazungumzo, daktari, una kumbukumbu gani ya